And on another segment of our real talk, I would like to have a look with you at the notion in the area of marketing around target audience. We are all guided and directed to in business look at our target audience. We map out who is this person, we create an avatar, we look at where do they hang out, where can I reach them, how do I reach these people. In other words, don't waste your time with people who are not your target audience, or visiting places where your target audience is not likely to be. That is usually the directive. Now, I want to be controversial here and encourage you to look at it in a different way. The world is in constant flow. People look and connect globally from different countries, different cultures. We look and connect in different ways. Most of all, what you are not likely perhaps considering is this: how do you know who is connected to that person that you consider not to be your target audience? I think that's a big question people rarely ask themselves in this rush of wanting to do the right thing and finding their target audience. And I want to share as just a little story on that one. Being in a networking group some years back, we had a new member coming in. It was about professionals and people in business being members of the group. However, this particular person came in not being a business owner, but being an employee. All the other people in the room who were business owners were saying, yeah, okay, nice to have you here. But they didn't pay much attention to this person. She was a personal trainer in a gym. And so was also, it was just a personal trainer. Yeah, she might know what she knows around her expertise in that field, but it's nothing for business. So they weren't paying much attention to her. I made the time to have a conversation with her, and it turned out that in that one conversation, just from the people that she knew that she was connected to and people that she had met who they were connected to, I was able to have 5 clients, actual clients from that one conversation. So I want to put it out there in the business that you are in. How much do you focus on this connecting only specifically with a particular target audience, target avatar? Have you considered looking beyond that and what might open up for you in a new way if you open yourself, your doors, and your business look into other directions? So I encourage you to come and start with a question around that or a comment or how you see that. Feel free to jump in or raise your hand. The floor is open. Yes, Joanne.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Sigrid. I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and it's the commentary is targeted to my target audience, because I know that's where they are. But I also know that's just one part of the whole piece. For years and years, collaboration has always been my strategic activity. So I deliberately reach out to people who are not my client, but they have something, they know people, they're connected to people, or they have a service that complements what I do to expand my reach. The other things that I do, join networks and proactively reach out. But one thing I have always done is I talk to my accountant. So my accountant, the one that I personally have, owns 4 accounting practices and has 15,000 business owners on his books.
Wow.
So I said to him, right, I've got some services that will help your clients to be better and bigger in their businesses. How about we work out how to collaborate with that? Because you'll get more accounting services that they need because they're building and growing. And how can I help to support them? So I have always said to my clients and the people that I mentor, etc., say, think outside the square. You don't know who somebody knows. You're gym lady, right? You
Mm.
just don't know who they know. So anybody who reaches out on me with LinkedIn, whether they're my target audience or not, let's have a conversation, because I just don't know who they know.
Mm.
And I will always, and who knows, it might be a collaboration. So one of the couple of collaborations I'm doing in the next few months is to do some joint articles on LinkedIn with people who have services that complement me. So they're not going to be a client with mine, but we're going to go jointly to our respective audiences,
Mm.
joint articles to an event. And I'm going to do that with 3 different people because it expands my reach.
Love it. So that's a really great tip and angle from you, Joanna. Just going to summarize that very briefly. Collaboration is the way to look at it from your perspective. And one particular thing you're doing is joint articles. Excellent. I love it. Peter, you have got your hand on. You're next. Thanks, Joanne.
I can, in a lot of ways, echo what Joanne just said because doing pretty much the same thing. My tool, if you like, is LinkedIn. So if we just stay there, when when I started out, I thought I would work with CEOs, right? Okay, because you need to get the decision maker, and that is the person at the top. Okay, forget about HR, person at the top. So I did, and I got very little traction. Then I decided, yeah, this is very broad because that could be anyone and everyone anywhere. So I decided that for the reasons that I have, I wanted to work with the legal profession. And that meant I had to investigate that profession more in more depth than I already knew about it. It also meant that my messaging became far more targeted. And I got more traction, I got more play out of LinkedIn when I homed in on a niche rather than anyone.
Mm.
And then, as I've mentioned a number of times, I also do work with other people because I wouldn't turn anyone down who wants to work with me, which also means I have people in my network from all different walks of life. The ones I completely reject immediately are the ones where I can see they've now graduated from some sort of training course and now they know exactly how to approach everybody in LinkedIn and scale your business to 6 figures in 5 days or less and that sort of stuff. But I can tell you what, clients refer their clients to me, just like your accountant. A super source for me is actually beauticians.
All right. Yeah.
Beauticians will do massage, eyebrows, necks, hair, whatever on anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
they are getting close to their clients just like I do, and therefore they get asked all sorts of things. So there's a lot of therapists out there. They're called beauticians, hairdressers, bartenders, and taxi drivers. And they just listen and they get asked advice. You wouldn't imagine how much I'm being asked. I'm being asked legal advice, financial advice, medical advice, any old thing, and I have to field those questions as best I can and send them to relevant sources because I can only talk meaningfully and ethically about what I know about. But when someone starts to trust you, they will fire anything and everything at you, and they will refer. So it is important to have people in your network and mingle in areas where you think you don't belong. And of course, any networking thing is not about selling to the audience at the network. It's about engaging in conversation and building relationships. So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
my angle on this.
Look, I think that's fantastic. And I love that you've mentioned about the beauticians. I guess, personal trainers fall into that category as well. They're very
Oh,
close
oh
up with
yes, yes.
with their clients and they get to know a lot what the client talks about, which is often, which would be more than just, oh, do I have to lift my arm this way or not? They'll talk about personal things as well. Absolutely great. I like how you've put that directive there for us, Peter, and that you are always looking outside. I do agree with you. To say that messaging on a platform, on a social media platform like LinkedIn, messaging it specific is more successful when than saying, everybody. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. But I think the connection that we do and being open to connect and speak and interact with others is really important. So that has so far come through really well. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. Demetra, you're next.
Um, so in my industry, in the healthcare industry, we are expected to help everyone. And some because we cannot, people come in, they're in pain, there are emergencies, there's trauma, so we have to treat them. In the dental industry, you have to see patients, right? Um, so we have to be more open and stuff. But there are some um, people that we see that we may not resonate. Some of them are open, some of them complain, some of them they're really difficult to work with.
Mm.
And that puts pressure on the clinician as well.
Yeah.
But I think if we are thinking and expanding like to other industries, and when I went into coaching and stuff, if you think only about how you will reach like certain people, and you focus your all your efforts on that, you may miss others that they will need your services really. So I think it's and if you are thinking, because a lot of people think about being visible and having that fear of visibility, and actually expressing, how to find the target market or how to attract the target market. Um, it's they feel like how they're going to be perceived. um it's thinking really about you. You're not thinking about your market audience.
Mm.
um so, and if you um if you don't believe in your own message because you're trying like to say the right words, the right marketing spiel, if you and you don't become you don't show as authentic, you don't believe your message, others will not believe your message. So I would say think about what you're offering and how you're helping, not necessarily the target market. The people that will resonate and they will need you, they will come to you.
Mm.
But think about in all the conversations how you are helping um, in an area, and just have conversations, just ask lots of questions. And I think it's just mainly of the conversations how you can help, and you'll see like who resonates with you and who you resonate with as well. But I think just don't think about your target market and focus like all of that to get like all the right words out there. It's just think about your service, because if you are only thinking about how to express things, you're thinking about you and all the fears and all what you're going through. You're not thinking about the others. So be more open and have really good conversations.
So you're bringing yourself into it too much, is what I'm hearing you say. When you focus on the target market, look at it much more from what can you do with them, and also, of course, be very open. I want to jump on one point that you've made, Demetra, that I find interesting is when you say, as a clinician in the medical field, where you have to help people, anybody and everybody. That is very true. I think the separation that I see there is when you have a medical practice, just as an example that I can think of that came to my mind, and you have doctors in there, general practitioners in there. Some of them will take and you're allowed to pay just with only the Medicare level, and then you have levy, and then you have those that will only take you if you pay that extra bit towards it. You are kind of segmenting the market in a way with that. Would you agree that is a kind of a segmentation by finances? Would that be, would I look at that right, or is that not so good a way of looking at that?
I think that takes that's a completely different area, and
Right,
that's a
that's
little bit
not
more political.
okay.
Um,
Okay, then let's
but
not go there. I don't want to go political.
yeah.
I just that was just something that came to me. But whatever, the other things that you said, as everybody had said, be open. Let us be open. Yes, we need to put our message out there around what we stand for. I think that's probably more true to say, rather than not letting others come into our field. Clem, would you like to
um,
contribute with something? Sorry, Demeter, did you want to?
Yeah, no, sorry. You were talking about that segmentation, and it's like it's not coming from the GPs necessarily because it's coming from the practice owners. But that's why I'm saying it's a completely different
The different.
conversation on that. And when I do segmentation, like in my practice, I segment it like by age. by need, so medically compromised,
Yeah.
or like the different ages and what they really need in their age. So that's that kind of segmentation and not the
Yeah,
finances,
which
because that
is in
takes it to a
accordance
different level.
with the work that you do. It's
Yeah.
not about the target market as we look at it and know it from the marketing and business in that way. Great. Thanks for clarifying it in that way, Demetra. Excellent. Okay, Klim, did you want to make a contribution from your perspective on that? I mean, you, from what you have shared with us in your talk, I think you are out there open and embracing, but what is your piece of uh, information that you'd like to share, that you'd like the world to know?
Yeah, I think I started off with the 40 plus because I thought, they're at a crossroads, not because they wanted to be at a crossroads, but because technology had alienated them from
Mm,
work. But I think COVID was a real eye opener for so many people because through COVID, I noticed a change in even the way youth started thinking about life. Before that, they probably followed a lot of the old principles that we followed, but not necessarily in the same way. But they did enjoy life. They did they changed a lot of jobs, and they were quite comfortable with that. But I suddenly realized after COVID, they started to think about what is life all about.
mm,
And in talks, as I was giving talks as well as lecturing, many people started identifying with a changed work uh, life balance. And when I started talking about what I was doing, they were curious to the point where some people said, "Can we keep in touch?" And so we just kept in touch. But I noticed that there is a change in the way people think, and because they've got the opportunities to, in some cases, go down to 4 days, um, a, a week work, etc. The
mm,
concepts are there, and I've always advocated for it. Doesn't matter whether it's 3 plus 1 plus 1. It could be 4 plus 1, whatever you want. And it's about the current state of your finances and your abilities at the time. So it's not for everybody. But I think I did not realize that there's a lot of people looking at different age brackets that I could not possibly have thought about because they're not as materialistic as, oh, I've got to get my house and I've got to get this and I've got to get a great job and then I'll start looking at life. So it was more conceptual for me, and I realized the message was important. So the message can go to everyone because you're on things like LinkedIn, etc. But the working with certain people would be targeted
mm,
because they would approach you and come back because that resonates with them. So for me, that was my take on what happened
mm.
or is happening.
Excellent. I like how you've brought that big event, that big global event that we've had into it, because that was somewhat of a turning point in thinking and how we are doing things, definitely in a big way. So I want to thank you each for being the panel on this particular Real Talk segment where we have discussed target audience. Does that still apply in the way that it has so far, or are there new directions coming into the world, new ways of looking at it, and do we need to be more open to many more different audiences, connecting with people, particularly seeing that we are able to on a global stage these days as we are here. So I think Klim, who is with me in Australia, Joanne, who is in Australia, and Demetra, and of course Peter, who is in the UK. So we do have a global audience. Some of our other global contributors had been there earlier, and I'm looking forward to more interaction with each of you in the future. Thank you all for your contributions.